Hello there, and welcome to another in our great Concertina repair series. Today we're going to be dealing with the problem of one note sounding too loud relative to the other notes. Here we have our concertina, and I'm playing along. Dang, that note is loud. So we're going to get in there and we're going to fix that. Alrighty. I'm going to open up the instrument first. I think we're good, buddy. Thank you. Alright. Loosen the 6 end bolts on top of the instrument. Make sure you hold the screwdriver right by the bolts so that you don't slip and scratch the instrument. Kind of get them all going a little bit loose. Number 4. 5. And we're just loosening away. And number 6. Okay. So they're all loosened with the screwdriver. Now I'm going to just finish them up. My fingers, make sure they're all kind of moving. Alright, you can kind of hold the buttons here to keep the instrument together. Now, depending on when you bought your instrument, this gasket here may or may not be attached. It might be glued down, might not be. So what we're going to do, either way, you're going to reach through and pull out the reed pan. It's only held in by friction. It might stick a little, it might stick a lot, but just pull it till it comes out. Okay, my gasket obviously is not attached, so I'm going to set it aside. It doesn't matter if yours is attached, just leave it on. Now in this case, the bad button, or sorry, the bad note was the A button right here. And the way you can find it on the pan, you press the button down, look under the instrument, see what pad hole is open. Okay? Then you want to line that up with the reed pan and just kind of look down and see which one is hitting. And then you'll be in the general area, then look to see which one is marked the note. That's a problem. In my case it was an A note, so it's right here. Now that was because it was a pull note. If it was a push note, it would be the B note on the other side. Okay? This is the A note though, that we'll be dealing with. Now, if a couple different things can cause a note to be too loud. One, and the most common, is that the tongue is set too high. And what that means, I'm going to use this other reed here. It's a little bigger. It might be easier to see. I'll just trust my camera person here to focus on this because I can't see it. Right here, the tongue rides above the frame. The frame is the yellow part, the brass. The tongue is the steel part. If this is too high, it makes the note a lot louder. So we want to keep it down. Pretty much, for these higher notes, we want to keep it down almost low enough where you can definitely see light between the metal, between the two pieces of metal, but not too much light. And it's just going to depend on each note. So the lower the notes, the higher the tongue needs to be. For this A note that we're dealing with, it just needs to be slightly above the surface of the metal. The best way to do this is to pop the note out. These are held in by friction. If yours doesn't slide out that easy, you can take the screwdriver in your hand, make sure you're not pressing on any of the walls, and kind of stick it on the back. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but stick the screwdriver on the back of that nut on top and just pull it out that way until you get it out. Alright. Now what you'll need to do is press the tongue down. You just want to bend it a little bit into the shoe. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to do this from the top so you can sort of see what I'm doing. But we want to bend it in so it's actually coming out the back. If you can see that, it's hard to see on the small note. You want to press it down so that when it relaxes and comes back up, it's just sitting barely above the surface, and I don't think there's any way we're going to see this. But just make sure it's lower than it was before. Take note of what it looked like before you did it, and make sure it's lower. And this was a little too low. Now if it's too low, then just push it back from the other side the same way. Just make sure you're in the middle of the tongue and not sliding off to the side here. Okay, when you're finished, you can put the note back in. If it feels loose, then you want to watch our video about how to shim a loose reed shoe, and that's also on YouTube. Then put the instrument back together. You want to line up the R. This is the right side. R lines up with the R's here. If you have the gasket off, the same thing, there's a little R in the gasket. That lines up, the instrument goes back together. Tighten it down, try it out, see if it's any better. You may have to make a couple adjustments. You may have to do it all again and push it lower or back high again if it's too low, if the note is stalling. once you have it back together. That means it's too low. The other way, though, while I have it open, to correct this problem, if that doesn't do it enough, is the valve on the back of the A. So there's our problem note. Just trace around to the back. This flap right next to the B note is called the valve, and this is the valve for that A note. What you want to do is just rip it off. You can take your screwdriver and get a little bit of the glue off. Just try not to scratch the wood too much. Okay, then what you're going to want to do is use a heavier valve. So if you see this valve, this is the one that came off. It's a little bit thin and floppy. If you have a heavier valve, you can do that, or you could even stick some tape, maybe like a little bit of Scotch tape on the back of this note to thicken it up a bit if you don't have another valve handy. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a bigger valve. If you compare this, you see that's a lot bigger. I'm going to use this bigger valve. It's a thicker leather, and I'm just going to clip off part of it to make it more the right size that we need. Okay, and this is nowhere near as flexible as the other one. So what this will do, this will create a little bit of drag. It'll slow down the reed. It won't be able to vibrate as quickly with the heavier valve. I just put a little bit of white glue. You can use Elmer glue. You can use a toothpick or your screwdriver. Put just a little tiny dot on the back, and then take the valve and glue it down. Alright then, once again, look for the R's, reassemble the instrument, and try it out and see how it goes. And that is all I gotta say about that. Thank you for watching.